Hey, Pete, good to see you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, good to see you.
I got a buttload of graphs and images and videos here ready to go. So I'm going to turn it over to you. What do we got? What's going on in Pokrovsk and elsewhere in Ukraine?
Yeah, I think start. It's always good to start on the battlefield, and
Yeah,
Pokrovsk has been the center of everything.
that's
It's
the
the
wrong one.
new.
Hold on. Yeah, keep going. That's the wrong
Yeah,
one. Keep
it's.
going.
I think it's the new Bakhmut, the city that the global mainstream media focuses its propaganda efforts on. And that's because, as we've talked about in the past, uh, Ukraine and Vladimir Zelensky and the EU are now the global nexus, the center for this propaganda network. And we know Pakrovsk is about to be lost because that same global MSM are in unison stating that Pakrovsk has no strategic battle or value. And right, and it, as has been the case with every Russian conquest in this war. So, do you have the one of the maps, Todd, that show uh, Pakrovsk in the?
Well, isn't this the cauldron where they're closing it right now?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
I couldn't see it on mine.
Yeah.
It just popped up. So
Okay.
good. So it starts, as you can see, that with an encirclement, and you know it's important to sometimes ask the basic question. So how do you get encircled? And you get encircled by allowing the enemy to control your flanks, and it's not an instantaneous process. It's an incremental process. And in an intense light infantry war such as this one, that only moves as fast as the boots on the ground can carry the men who define the front. It's going to be a slow grinding process. And this encirclement has been happening since May.
Hmm.
So, think about that. May, June, July, August, September, October. We're in November right now. So 6 full months that the Ukrainian soldiers, which there were 5,500 of them in and around Pakrovsk, have been surrounded. And so you can watch it online. You can watch the slow motion depiction metaphor, but it shows something else too. It also shows a very well thought out and well executed strategic approach to taking a stronghold by Russia. And for all our viewers, most things in war come down to principles, and the principle Russia is using here, the timeless principle, is don't charge the machine gun nest, go around it. And that's what you're seeing over and over on these Ukrainian strongholds. The Russians aren't taking the bait. They're just working around the edges until they surround them, cut off their logistics, and then starve them. So, the question about Pokrovsk is how did it happen? Well, we talked about 6 months, but I have some fascinating info from the ground that shed some light on what was happening during those 6 months. So as far back as June, July timeframe, a group of company grade officers, and again, company grade is lieutenants, captains, the guys literally on the front, commanding the guys who are fighting on the front, and they got together and went to a brigade commander, the brigade commander, I won't name the brigade, in Pakrovsk, and pleaded with him to act with haste to convince the higher headquarters that they had to begin thinning the lines. And these guys, this was not, we just got to get out of here. This was not a panic thing. They had come up with a plan, which was, from what I've heard, made total operational sense. It was thin the lines. If you look at a terrain map of Ukraine, you'll see there's actually better terrain to fight for to the west of Pokrovsk. And so their plan was to thin the lines, reestablish their positions. It's about 6 to 8 kilometers west to a new, stronger position. And it also actually included a trap for the Russians to pull out in the end and then slam in from that same west side, flanking maneuver. But the answer was as short as it was definitive. The answer was no. Hold in place at all costs, with no logical why behind that. So, whenever you hear officers taking risks like that to their career, they care, and that's usually the case. These aren't malcontents. These are guys who care about winning. They care about their men. They care about survival, and they had a perfectly competent plan, but they were told no, and that's because of the problem we pointed out in the past, that Ukraine is just hard broke operationally. Everything, all decisions are made from Wiesbaden and Kyiv, disconnected chains of command, not able to make sense of what's going on the front lines. And of course, the top-down nature of the decisions has been a staple throughout. So, Zelensky and Syrski personally made the decision to hold at all costs. And so what's the reason for that? Why would they do something so seemingly stupid? The reason is because Pakrovsk produces coking coal. It's the sole source of coking coal, which is vital to Ukraine because it's the sole domestic source for the country's steel industry. And this makes it obviously crucial to the Ukrainian economy. Steel is a major export and source of hard currency for Ukraine, and it actually is comparable to agriculture on both of those regards. So without it, Ukraine's steel production will decline significantly, and it'll have to rely on more expensive imports. So, which means the EU taxpayer.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, Zelensky and Syrski made that decision to hold at all costs, and this is the central issue that Ukraine has had throughout the war. The decisions on the battlefield are still being made out of Wiesbaden and Kyiv, and in both those locations, you have NATO generals and their massive staffs, as well as Ukrainian generals and their massive staffs. And on top of those massive general officer and staff conglomerations is Zelensky, who has made himself a cog in the Ukrainian military decision-making process. And so stop a minute and think about that. A lifelong actor comedian with no classic training in maneuver warfare or any type of warfare, no experience of any kind with leading large groups of men in chaotic situations. He's making decisions and he's micromanaging those decisions, along with Syrski, who's his four-star general equivalent. And now think of that in terms of, just think of your image of Vladimir Zelensky over the last, you pick 1 month, let's pick 6 months. I checked, he's actually been out of Ukraine more than he's been in Ukraine in the last 6 months. And of course, that makes sense. We see him in Brussels, we see him in DC, we see him everywhere. We see him in the UAE, we see him everywhere, usually except Ukraine. And so the reason this is so important to process is this guy is making battlefield decisions.
You don't see him at the front, Pete.
Exactly, but you can't, even if he wasn't at the front, if he was sitting in the basement, somewhere of a dugout and 24/7 immersed in this battle, he would still need to defer to the guys on the ground, but at least he would be on top of what's happening and he'd be able to give a quick, I don't know answer. What's happened now is because he's such an integral part of their decision-making process, no one can move. So let's go back to those lieutenants and captains. So in June, July, they go to their brigade commander. Imagine the basement of a rubbled building late at night. Boss, we got to move out of here. He immediately sends the request back up to higher headquarters. For the majority of the last 6 months, they've probably just been waiting for answers. When you can't get an answer, opportunities slip away. You can't seize those opportunities, which are always fleeting on the battlefield.
Yes.
And just as important, you can't avoid disasters. And in a terrain war like this, again, these guys, they can see disasters happening. When you sit in a position for a long period of time, you begin to understand that position at a savant-like level, meaning, you can look out from your position and say, okay, if they take that copse of trees over to my right, I'm finished.
Yeah,
And
you can
all
see
my
this flow.
positions are.
It's like a chessboard. You can see the moves ahead, right?
Yeah. So that's that's the main problem, and of course, Kyiv, because of this inability to nimbly command and control, to make decisions, to listen to the guys on the ground, Kyiv continues to sacrifice massive numbers of troops. We're still at the 5,000 to 7,000 a week of troops. That's 1,000 a day, through this rigid positional warfare, rather than just simply adapting to Russian maneuver tactics. And not to beat the dead horse, but you can't adapt, means change, and you can't adapt/change unless you make a decision to do so. And so you're seeing, Ukraine is completely crippled. Why Russia is focused on destroying enemy forces and not capturing territory, Ukraine is trying to defend territory. And Zelensky, instead of being focused on the greater good of his guys and the survival of his army, is focused on accumulating Western support and rubbing elbows with these VIPs across the globe, and his global influencers, and in so doing, he continues to mislead the public about what's happening. And so 4 days ago, Zelensky said, we control Pokrovsk. The Russians have some men in the middle of the city, and we're cleaning them out right now. Syrskyi said, we control Pokrovsk. What you're hearing is not true. Russia will be expelled from Pokrovsk shortly. Those were their statements. We're not surrounded. So it reminds me of what happened to the Japanese in World War II. The Japanese, the basic mistake the Japanese made was they began feeding the same propaganda that they were feeding their citizens to their soldiers. And that's what the trap Ukraine and the global influencers have fallen into. Ex-General Hodges, who we've talked about many times, one of the most famous pro-Ukraine influencers and Biden supporters, came out 2 days ago and reinforced that by saying Pokrovsk has no value. It's a city of rubbled houses. Ukraine has allowed Russia to fall into the trap. Now they're moving out. They can have it. There's no value. So these guys are lying through their teeth to the public, and that's why maybe Pokrovsk is more than just another city falling. This is real-time proof that Zelensky, the EU, and these influences are lying through their teeth about what's happening. And the good old battlefield reality, once again, the best elixir to cure the ills of propaganda, is coming through for us. And Putin did something that I think takes into account that observation. He's invited the global media to Pokrovsk to come in and observe what's happening and what's about to happen with the surrenders. Zelensky, the same day he put out that offer, Zelensky forbade all Ukrainian and international reporters in Ukraine from going to Pokrovsk. So
Well,
everything about this is proving that this war, most of this war as we know it, is a lie. And again, it's not just about proving that it's a lie and that these influencers should never be listened to again. It's about these guys dying for no reason,
well,
day
that's the
after day.
thing, Pete. We are not helping the people of Ukraine. That's what people need to hear. We
Yeah.
are hurting these people. We're lying to their soldiers. We're getting them killed, all because Zelensky and Hodges and all are working for somebody else, in my opinion. We played an interview with Zelensky at the beginning of the show. In an interview, I forget, it was some CNN or something, and there's the guy, the interviewer is like, don't you think it's a great idea for Britain to be moving troops to Belarus, on the Belarusian border? I mean, they're pushing this war and they want to continue. It has nothing to do about the people of Ukraine. Back to you.
Yeah, no, you're right. And Britain is, Russia's already pointed this out too. They are the center focus of this thing. You talked about it in an episode many months back about their historic, bizarre hatred for Russia. And you could see it every day. They're still making announcements. Yesterday, they sent their latest, and I'm sure it doesn't work, anti-drone technology, which was a multi-billion-dollar project that they had been working on. They cut short. They produced these drone detectors, and they just sent them to Belgium because Belgium has been continually closing its airport due to drone traffic on the perimeter. And that traffic, this is now 3 times it's happened. Twice they've caught, it's just locals flying their drones, which they know. An air traffic controller knows where a flying object takes off from and lands at. But this propaganda cycle is working not just these leaders of these countries into a frenzy, but their people into a frenzy. And when reality is saying, not only is there nothing to be afraid of, but this is a massive murdering effect that these propagandas are causing on the people they're supposedly supporting.
Right. It's just it's a shame, but we got to wake people up to what's going on so that they can, say enough is enough. I've got 2 videos. Let's start with those. I got one with the 12 guys getting out of the chopper, and then another one with the gentleman talking. I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah, let's show the helicopter insertion.
Okay.
I've got some on the ground info for that one too.
I thought that was. Oh, I have to hit play. Hold on one second.
Pretenses, and the difference is that the Russian government has been able to pay huge sign-up bonuses of up to 30,000 to join the army. Ukraine does not have that, so this will have to be addressed down the line. The sooner the better. I've said that eventually we'll run up against this problem. Europeans will have to probably step in with boots on the ground one way or another, or find money for the Ukrainian government to pay those high sign-up bonuses, because as it is, we're on the losing side of this issue, unfortunately.
So
yeah,
that was an insertion of special ops forces by the Ukrainians, and they were completely killed by the drones immediately, right?
Yeah. So Todd, go back to the encirclement map.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
This is a special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
Show that real quick.
Hold on, I have to load that back. Hold on one second.
Okay,
yeah,
because I want to show. So what the video was showing was a Black Hawk insertion of 12 Ukrainian special ops soldiers, and the area that they went into. So if You look on the top of the map at that red blob. It looks, like a bird with the beak on the top. The air assault was right up around the head of that beak. So middle of the map, top of the map is where the air assault landed. And that red mark in the middle simply shows the last opening of the encirclement. So they were flying in. This was another example of what we just talked about. It was an idea by the general's staff, Siersky's staff, on how to keep this corridor, this ever thinning corridor, open. And the idea was, well, let's just send some of our best special operators, and they can take this position and hold the position open so that the rest of our force can E&E out. So they sent 12 guys in. They had some drones. They had obviously massive commo technology, and they had a small amount of anti-tank weapon systems. And this idea was that they would fly in by helicopter and just sit at this line, and these special ops guys could do something that conventional guys can't, which is somehow repel artillery and drone fire that doesn't recognize what type of unit you came from, only that you're human. But it was an unbelievably foolish move. Just to fly helicopters to the front shows the desperation. The reason this hasn't happened is because it doesn't make any sense. You can take a Black Hawk out with the smallest drone that we have, the smallest explosive charge. So helicopters are incredibly vulnerable to every drone, including the one you have, in your house. You could fly that through the door of a helicopter and take a helicopter out. Unbelievably foolish move, desperation, again, not listening to the guys on the ground. Russia blew the lid off that because of a tactic it uses, which is to flood areas with drones, and then to save on power and to allow them to do continuous coverage. Those drones sit down on the ground and go into a dormant electronic state. They can still be reached by signal and turned back on, and their camera is on. So it's like having a OP, an observation post, anywhere you want. And one of those cameras spotted the helicopters coming in. That's how Russia, defeated this whole thing. And of course, by the time they landed, Russia had a drone swarm. That's why they filmed this above them and killed every single one of these guys. Some of their best, most elite special op guys, equivalent of, Delta Force or SEAL Team 6, all killed, all slaughtered on the ground. Again, for a desperate move by headquarters, disconnected hierarchies that can't make sense of what's going on the ground.
Wow. So I'll just roll through. This is a slide with Zelensky that the blame is starting to come to him.
Yep.
Is that what this says, basically?
It is. And I don't know if you've got the prisoner thing, but the prisoners are overwhelmingly saying the same thing. They're leaving these guys out. There's dead bodies all over the place. There they are. This is a great aggregation of what we've been seeing for many, many months. None of these comments are new. Scroll down a little bit, Todd. There's
I can't
okay.
scroll. I'm sorry.
Okay. So these guys just talk about the same common themes. They're being dropped off in places with no guidance. Two of these guys, one of these guys that you're seeing is a volunteer. Two of them are forced conscripts with massive medical problems. The guy in the bottom left can't see out his left eye, and his right eye, he has like 40% vision. So he's blind. They found that guy wandering around. One of the guys volunteered, but they said the same thing. They're, not armed properly, not equipped properly. They're dropped off in places without any guidance. Whenever anyone leaves from a location that they're in, they never see those guys again. There's dead bodies all over the place. They sat in the their trench. The two guys, the top guy and the guy on the right, sat in their trench for a month, waiting for someone to come take them out. And that entire month, they were surrounded by the dead bodies. They would just put leaves on them to try to neutralize the stench. And to our viewers, since the very first talks, there's been an exchange of dead bodies. That exchange continues to happen, and it happens at a rate of 39 bodies, Ukrainian bodies, to one Russian body. So you're seeing not only the lopsided casualty figures, but this thing that the Ukrainian army does not. There's no man left behind. They're leaving everybody behind. And part of that is just out of desperation. When your position is being overrun, there's only so much you can do. And there are dead Ukrainians all over this battlefield. And that's not like just an external thing. That's an internal thing. These soldiers who sat next to those bodies for a month probably thousands of times thought that could be me. No one's taking care of those bodies. No one cares. You know, we've criticized the American military numerous times, and we've all pondered whether it makes sense, but we have no one left behind, no man left behind. And we go to great lengths to ensure that principle in every circumstance, unless it's absolutely impossible not to carry out. We carry it out. And the reason is not some internal, thing. It's reciprocity. Do unto others as you'd want them to do unto yourself. And, you want people to come for you when you're trapped. And soldiers who know they're always coming, those are the soldiers that survive. Those are the soldiers that overthrow their enemies and turn things around. So Ukraine is a broken army. They don't believe in Zelensky. He's just exacerbating that void. Same with Syrskyi and the generals. These Ukrainian soldiers know they don't care about them, and it's not theoretical, it's empirical.
Wow. So here's another one. That's what you were talking about. Well, no, this is a strike on a military ceremony.
Yep, but the same thing, Todd. So how could this happen again? This is the third time this happened, and some of the best, most decorated drone pilots were at this ceremony. So like guys with, I'm sure just from being in touch with it every day, 100 kills, just their very best, most hand-eye. These guys would be, Top Gun fighter pilots. And so you ask, how could this have happened a third time out in the open, in a parade ground, rigid military, adherence to these antiquated protocols and pomp and circumstance? That's the old Ukrainian military, but this has been warned against multiple times. So how could anyone even think about it? Well, let me tell you, as wars go on, those who fight the wars, the highest ranking ones, the officers, you have to continue to think about your professional career. Just like if you were a banker or anything else, that's your profession. So they get promotion is what you try to do in the military. And in wartime, awards are a big indicator of your success. If your unit had the most awards, that means you must have been a great commander, even though it probably means you got more guys killed than other guys. But it's this obsession with awards to not only make individuals look better and more successful, but also to cover up failures. It's a timeless thing to cover up a massive failed operation. You inundate everyone with medals. And so this is just another example of this autocratic, top-down, dogmatic, non-thinking military. Because if lower-ranking guys had the ability, I bet you every guy in the formation was going, this is fucked up. Why are we standing here at attention on a fucking parade ground in a war zone? Right. And Dnipropetrovsk, which is combat zone. Dnipropetrovsk is a combat zone. So you know, every indicator's there. Again, we're just pointing them out. It's sad, but the urgency continues. This war needs to stop. The killing needs to stop, and common sense needs to return to prominence.
So true. Here's one more. Well, that's the 12 soldiers. It was
Yeah.
surrounded.
Yep.
So,
No, these are another 12. There were 12 on that out, but these is just 12. No water, no food left. They're wounded, unattended wounded. No help came. This is the theme. Once an incident, twice a coincidence, three times a pattern. We're at 300 of these patterns. It's every interrogation. And I'm obviously hearing this on the ground from lower ranking officers also.
wow. So I think this one is just the 12 special ops. We discussed that. I've got one video left of a gentleman. I'll play that and you can talk about it.
Well, thank you for having me. This has taken, I mean, the Russian effort in Pokrovsk has been going on for well over a year and resulted in the expenditure of huge numbers of Russian casualties. And the Russian advance has been literally at a snail's pace. It has taken them eons to get where they've got to. Why are they so focused on it? Because it's there, because they've expended a huge amount of effort in doing so. And this is a classic case of, in a sense, reinforcing, rather than reinforcing maneuver success. It's a case of continuing to batter their head against a pretty substantial Ukrainian brick wall. And they will go on in a sort of wooden-headed way to do so until they've got it. And even then, once they've got it, what will it profit them? Frankly, not a great deal, except for a Pyrrhic victory and some smoking ruins.
But Ukraine really doesn't want to give up on the city either, right? They're sending in special forces. How big a blow would losing Pokrovsk be for them?
Well, clearly, Ukraine would rather not lose it. But at the end of the day, in any battle, in any campaign, you have to give a bit, you have to take a bit. And of course, Ukraine has been moving forward as well. So it's not, the Russians have not all had it all their own way. And Ukraine is making it extremely difficult for the Russians. So it's not over yet.
Wow. Don't believe your lying eyes.
Yeah, that was a great one to finish up with. Yeah, that's another ex-4-star general, British, completely uninformed, or just pathologically lying through his teeth.
Yeah.
Because anyone who knows anything about Ukraine knows about the geology of Ukraine and knows about Donbass. Dun means coal, Bas means basin. It's a coal basin. That's its value is underground, and it's a massive value. And then just, you know, what's funny about all these influencers is they're all the same. So as they're lying, part of their lie is these foolish, idiotic Russians, just they do it for no reason, and there's no purpose behind what they're doing. They're actually trying to make fun or criticize the individuals who are winning on the battlefield, and no facts. Nothing he said had anyone in the military would go, what, tell me something of substance. But that's what we have, and it shows you again the desperation, the power behind this effort to keep this war going, which should scare the bejeebers out of everybody. That guys like that, he should. Everyone's got a reputation light in their head, and that guy's reputation light should go. Why would I lie right now? This is a fait accompli. This war is over, but they're being paid, and money talks. And when you've taken a position for long enough, emotions talk. They prevent you from saying, hey, I was wrong. I misunderstood this one. They make you double down, and that's what we're seeing. And, the line continues. But, I'd sum it up this way, Todd. A chain of command is not meant to imprison its people. It's meant to link them together. And so the chain of command process that was introduced by NATO to Ukraine and adopted and is in full-fledged use right now is hard broke, and it has no ability to make sense of what's going on in the battlefield or sensible choices about what to do next. And because of that, it cannot win this war.
So they're the next step is European troops on the ground. They're pushing that hard. I don't know if they have the will to do that, but they want a war. So I don't know where this is going to go. We'll see. I'm hoping it's toward the end, but they're not going to surrender. Britain will not let it go. Neither will NATO. So I don't know what's next, my friend. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm with it. And I just go back to President Trump. He could end this thing by just saying, "Hey, we're not going to war with Russia." Shake hands with Putin and say we're normalizing relations with Russia. What you guys want to do, go ahead, but don't think we're going to participate. And he doesn't need to say that. He just needs to shake their hand and say we're having normal relations with Russia, and the whole thing will end. No European country is going to try to start a war with Russia when Russia and the U.S. are allies.
And the whole their push for a war will just end because will be no. If we're not supporting them, they're not going to do it. I mean, that's the essential, the end of the day. So, all right, Pete, thank you. We'll see you next time, my friend. Take care.
Sounds good, Todd. Take care.